So the system requirements have been revealed. The RTX 4070 Ti and the RX 7900 XT are the recommended for native 4K 60 FPS ultra settings. So minimum to play this game at 1080p 30 FPS will require a GTX 1060 or an RX 5500 XT. And then for the CPU, an i5 Haswell or a first gen Ryzen. That is such an old CPU. Well, the Intel CPU is like straight up ancient CPU. This CPU is an 11-year-old CPU. So this is a dinosaur. But that's the minimum for 1080p 30. And then apparently your PC only needs 8 gigabytes of RAM. But get this, it needs to have 8 gigs of system RAM, but 190 gigabytes of SSD storage. So it's like you can get away with having only 8 gigs of RAM in 2024 to play God of War Ragnarok at 1080p, but you have to have an SSD that has a minimum of 190 gigabytes of free space. Talk about an unbalanced, unrealistic PC. I don't think there's anybody out there with an 8 gigabyte PC that has roughly 200 gigabytes of SSD, not hard drive, SSD storage to spare. All right, then recommended 1080p 60 medium settings, the 2060 or the 5700. The Intel Coffee Lake i5 or the Ryzen Zen 2 Ryzen 5. 16 gigs, so that looks more normal. This looks more normal. The 1440p results. I like how a lot of people always want to like look at 1440p results, but then when it comes to game developers, it's like apparently game developers don't care about 1440p because they just occasionally will throw it a bone and like they'll reference it like one time, but then they'll completely pretend that it doesn't exist and it's all 1080p or 4K, 1080p this, 4K that. Like no one cares about 1440p. They have like 2 different 1080p recommendations and 2 different 4K recommendations, but they got like one 1440p in here. It's like, oh yeah, 1440p high settings, not 1440p ultra settings or 1440p low settings. No, we're just gonna make it obscure. We're gonna obscure it and confuse people even more. Just make it vague. 1440p high settings. No one's gonna know what it means to be ultra settings ready on 1440p because nobody games at 1440p, according to the developers. So it's kind of weird how it's just like nobody cares about 1440p anymore. It's like, okay, 3070, 6800, that's all you need. It's 1440p. It's easy mode. Every game runs at 1440p. You don't need to spend more. Like, you have no idea how many people tell me all the time, 1440p. You only need to spend like $400 on a GPU to max out 1440p. It's easy. It's not hard. And then they're kind of backing that up with this. You only need a 3070, 1440p, high settings. And then you need an Intel Kaby Lake from like the month before Ryzen came out, or a Zen Plus. So it's like 1440p is, it's like the developers treat 1440p with no respect. It's like 1440p is a joke. It's like it's dead to them. So for 4K 60 high. So basically what this means is that if you set the game to high preset, and if all you do is crank the resolution from 1440 to 4K, you make one change. Everything stays the same, graphics settings wise, you just raise the resolution. Now, it jumps from needing a 6800 to a 6900 XT. That is a fabulous GPU. And the 3080 Ti is its rival. These are known as the arch rival GPUs. These are the same as like the 1080 versus the Vega 64 or the 1080 Ti versus the Radeon 7. It's like now it's the 3080 Ti versus the 6900 XT. So it's like now you have the rival GPUs. This is the real deal. This is what people actually pay attention to. Okay, so this is what you need for 4K native 60 FPS at high preset. So that is pretty good. And you literally don't need to do anything with the CPU. You can ignore the 9700X, let alone the 7800X3D. Those CPUs are unnecessary. You don't need them. All you need is an ancient Zen Plus or an Intel quad core from 2017. That is fantastic. This might be so wrong on so many levels, but who knows? Because this is the most unbalanced thing I have ever seen. Who pairs a quad-core Intel with an RDNA 2 flagship? And who pairs a 2018 Zen Plus 8-core with a 3080 Ti? I mean, there might actually be some people that do the latter. I don't know, like quad-core Intel in 2024? Really, developers, you're gonna recommend a quad-core Intel? A quad-core Intel from 2017, from January 2017, Q1 2017, 4 cores, 8 threads, for 4K 60, high settings. Fantastic. This must be the most optimized game I'll ever play. If it can run at 4K 60 high with a quad core from 2017. All right, meanwhile, we got Ultra. Now we crank it up. Ultra. It's like, all of a sudden there's a, all of a sudden there's a grunt. RTX 4070 Ti is now required. RX 7900 XT is required. And all of a sudden, somehow, it goes from base form quad-core i7 to an i5? It's like, what? What? Wait, what is this? It transforms from an i7 into an i5? What? And of all the i5s, a Rocket Lake? An 11th gen? What? Ryzen 7 3700X. Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait, hold up. Time out, developers. Time out, God of War Ragnarok. Are you telling me that if I want to play 4K high, I can use a quad-core Intel from 2017, but if I want to crank up to ultra settings at the same resolution, I need to get a Rocket Lake i5? That's like, how many generations of that? That skips 8th gen, 9th gen, 10th gen. That's literally like 4 jumps. How many socket changes did I just skip over? I went from Z270, skipped Z370, Z390, Z490, I went like 4 sockets. I literally just jumped 4 sockets. That's like Goku going from base form, skipping Kaioken attack all the way to like Super Saiyan 3. That's like what? Base form, Kaioken, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3. What is this? An i5 is a Super Saiyan 3? Meanwhile, the AMD, all you need is to go from Zen Plus from 2018 to Zen 2 from 2019? What? Did they test these? All the emphasis is on 1080p, making 1080p playable, or like 4K. It's like the developers completely overlook 1440p. They just throw 1440p a bone every now and then just to get them to be quiet. It's like, here's your 1440p. Okay. Here you go. Oh, yes. 4K gaming? Oh, yes. What do we need? Oh, ultra settings? Okay, yes. We'll do that. High preset? Yeah, we'll show you that. Okay. 1080p? Okay, yeah, we got you covered. Medium, low, we got all that good stuff. Yeah, no. 1440p? No, go away. No, okay. We already showed you what you needed. That's how they treat 1440p gamers. And you know who's at the very, very bottom of the totem pole when it comes to, like, developers, like, thinking about, like, gamers? Ultra-wide.